The Ace Man's keeping busy. Why don't you join us for a live podcast in Irvine at the Irvine Improv on July 10th. And then 4 shows in Covina, California at the Laugh Factory Covina on July 11th and July 12th. Tickets for these and more shows are available at adamcarolla.com.
This summer, Pluto TV is exploding with thousands of free movies. Summer of Cinema is here. Feel the explosive action all summer long with movies like Gladiator, Mission Impossible, Beverly Hills Cop, Good Burger, and Transformers: Dark of the Moon. Bring the action with you and stream for free from all your favorite devices. Pluto TV. Stream now. Pay never.
From Carolla One Studios in Glendale, California, this is the Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, from the Hangover and National Treasure, Justin Bartha. Plus the news and trending topics with Jason Mayhem Miller. And now, with a pressure washer full of rants, Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. The choice big. Remember to get it on. Get it on. Get on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. Justin Bartha, man. I love that guy. I love those movies. I love National Treasure. Hey, Andrew, you ever find that, was I telling you about that review of National Treasure where they critique the female? Oh, no. I was talking to Daphne about it. Ask Daphne about that review I asked her to find. It's funny. Anyway, I'll get you into that in a second. All right. So, a few thoughts. I've gotten a few tweets, and people tweet me that now that ICE has crashed in Los Angeles and they've rounded up the illegals, traffic isn't what it used to be. And I had this sort of concept because I haven't been in Malibu in a long time, 6 months, but I went back there. And I pulled up in there about 5 o'clock yesterday, and I said to my girlfriend, I said, not too bad. Wasn't too bad. Like, no one wants to go from here to Malibu, especially 4 p.m.
Yeah.
But I said, it moved pretty good.
I thought it was because of 4th of July.
I don't know. I said I did about 45, 50 minutes. Moved pretty good. And then I speculated. I went, well, Palisades all cleared out. Malibu's all cleared out. Just probably less cars or whatever. But then I started sort of noticing that I was moving along a little faster and incrementally, 10 or 15%. Enough to notice, not dramatic. But when I was reading this tweet, I was like, well, there's something to this. If you remove X amount of the populace from a certain area, then there's going to be a little less traffic.
And then if everybody's hiding out because they don't want to get snatched up off the street,
right?
There's a lot of Anne Franciscos hiding in that.
Anne Francisco. What are you, one of those Uncle Tom Biens? Yeah.
No say.
Right back. So, then I started thinking about it, and I've complained for 100,000 years in this town, which is I have seen the busted up Gardner truck overheating, or the car. They'll take a mid-'80s Toyota mini truck and stack up 75 pallets on the back of it, like 4 stories high with bungee cords. And that thing fell over and is blocking 3 lanes and all sorts of shit like that. And I was like, well, it's not only a numbers thing. Like if you go, okay, what's the difference between, my mom or my grandma or my ex-wife or something and one illegal being removed? Well, couple things. A, they drive reliable cars that are maintained, that never overheat or break down, and they don't get tire blowouts because they're not running on bald retreads. You know what I mean? Number one. Number two, they're essentially home all day. If you're a gardener or you're even in the trades, or you're running a food cart or something like that, you're making the round. You're out and about,
hustling and bustling.
Yeah, I mean, you work for Pixar. You pull in at 9 a.m. You park your electric car, and you don't get back into it until 7 o'clock that night, right? But if you're delivering for Uber or Grubhub, or driving Uber or Grubhub or something like that, or like I said, working like, let's just say you're pressure washing. I know, I love it. You're pressure washing the outside of apartment buildings, or you're doing windows, or you're doing gardening. Well, you got 7 clients a day, so you're out and you're making the rounds, and you're driving a full-size truck, and the truck is probably not maintained right. So it's in a weird way, it's like the people that do all the work in this town are the Hispanics. Are the Mexicans and or Salvadorian, Guatemalan, whatever. Those who do all the work. They do all the work. All of it.
Claro que sí.
Yes, all of it. And so they are the ones that in the morning are in their trucks and they're in traffic. And they're going to Home Depot and picking up drywall, and then they're getting back on the freeway. They're going back and forth on the
they're going to Home Depot. They're not
coming back. They're not coming back. Yeah, so then you go, well, for every one of them, you could probably have 6 of either my mom, my grandma, or my ex-wife who don't do anything all day. They might get up at some point and go get sushi at noon or something and then come back. They don't even get on the freeway. They're not part of the mix. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally.
So like one of those gardener guys, one worker guy, one making runs to Home Depot guy, pressure washing guy, one of those working guys is probably the equivalent to like 25 of these bitches. Because in terms of traffic.
Yeah. Talk about time on the road, miles spent. Yeah.
And vehicle.
Air quality index.
Size of vehicle and likelihood of shit falling off. Extension ladders don't fall off the back of those chicks' cars and block lanes.
Donuts.
And they don't get blowouts, and they're not driving trucks that are carrying way too many pallets of bricks and overheat going up the 405 or whatever. So you're talking about a small-ish group that is creating a large-ish part of the traffic, like sort of per capita. I'll put you this way. I'll look at it no different than this. You go to the park on a Saturday. You want to get a softball game going, but you can't because there's 5 soccer games going and the place is packed. Who's using the park? Now, the park is 3 blocks from my mom's house and 3 blocks from Dawson's house. I drove back from Dawson's house there. The park's just filled with Mexicans. Okay, so who's using the park? Well, the answer is the Mexicans are using the park. But whose park is it? Well, it's 1/25,000th my mom, but she won't go there, and she's not going there. She's just paying taxes. Saying we're not even using, if you look at the freeway like the park, like who's barbecuing, who's playing soccer, like who's utilizing this thing per capita, like in a much greater way than the aforementioned ladies who lunch. Okay, now you add another component. You are priced out of the market you're working in. We've discussed this before. You live in Beverly Hills, you live in La Cañada, you live in better parts of Pasadena, Santa Monica, Brentwood, Bel Air, Venice Beach. Well, your gardener doesn't live 3 houses down in Bel Air next to J-Lo and Ben. They don't live. I'm in La Cañada. No gardener lives in La Cañada. They're in Sun Valley. They're in North Hollywood, Reseda. It's a commute. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if you would like to afford a house in this godforsaken city, you got to get way the fuck out of town. So now you're a gardener and you want to buy a house, but your house is in Newhall, Saugus now because you can't afford shit in Sherman Oaks, right? So more commute, more truck, more time. So I would say it's a combination of fewer human beings and fewer cars on the road. But a bigger component of it is who's doing the driving and what kind of driving and how roadworthy are these vehicles. I mean, you got to think every fucking people who drive modern cars. When is the last time a modern car you saw? Like anyone who's owned a modern vehicle. When's the last time you broke down like out on the highway? Overheated or transmission gave out or something. It pretty much doesn't happen anymore. And when you do, you clog up lanes. You got to get the tow truck. It's a clusterfuck. Causes a lot of traffic. But if you're driving a beat to shit old, 87 Ford F-150 Gardner's truck, then yeah, it's going to happen. Or any piece of shit. So I think it's the kind of driving they do mixed with less people, mixed with roadworthy vehicles, making a bigger impact. Like they'll go, black males are 6.5% of society, but they account for 57% of homicides. You go, okay, that's a smaller footprint. I've been too long without attacking the blacks in this conversation.
Yeah, I get it. You got to spread that around a little bit. No.
It's a smaller group making a bigger impact statistically, and you could say the inverse about Asians or something like that. There's a happy side, there's a sad side, but yes, a small group can make a big impact on a subject. So I think there's something there. It's not zero. It can't be zero. You can't pick up several thousand people who are driving beat-up trucks and circumnavigating Los Angeles all day, remove them from the highways and the byways and go, it doesn't make no impact.
Here's a traffic map that I have never seen in my entire life.
Somebody tweeted me a traffic map of the 405 and the 5 and the 210. It's all green. And then they went, here it was before ICE got here, and it was all red. But the all-green one could have been taken Sunday night at 2 a.m, I guess. You know what I mean? Like,
listen, could be manipulating the data right here.
Yeah, anyone with a crayon and some wherewithal could have doctored this bad boy up. So I need a little more science than just red and green.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that as a guy, see, I'm a good test case for this. Because I drove from here to Malibu every day almost.
Yeah. So
and I knew the rhythm of the night. I knew the traffic rhythm. And of course that was pre-Trump, pre-ICE, pre-everything. And I drove yesterday, Babe in the Woods, and just went, it was pretty light out there. It wasn't too bad. I wasn't connecting it to anything.
Yeah. You connected the dots later on.
I saw the tweet and I was like, well, yeah, that's definitely something.
Yeah. And so you put this algorithm together of, gardeners and...
But what I'm telling everybody, like anything, you got to look into it. It's not just less people. It's less people who do a ton of driving, breakdown. There's a lot of other elements at
play.
Like
a great claims adjuster for Geico or some type of applying the formula in Fight Club.
I was in a movie. Yeah, let's see. I was in a movie. Think about what it was called. I was in a movie. They tried when Ace Ventura blew up.
Yeah,
they were like scrambling to go, what's our next Ace Ventura? What's our you know how everyone does that, right?
Hollywood.
Yeah, Frank McKlusky, insurance. Frank McKlusky.
Let's ring the bell.
I was in a movie where they were trying to do Ace Ventura, but this guy was an insurance adjuster. It's like a safety insurance inspector. CI?
CI.
What does CI stand for?
Investigator.
He worked for insurance companies, and everything was about safety. And I was in a movie.
Claims investigator,
yeah. And I was in, they were trying desperately to capture that Ace Ventura in a bottle that lightning
again. I can just see you going, all righty then.
Yeah.
You're your best Bertram.
And, oh God, I was in it I played a cop, Frank McKlusky, CIA. Dawson, you know who that actor was?
No, don't recognize him.
Yes, you do. And I'll tell you why you're going to recognize that guy. We got to figure it out. You know how? All right. Also, that guy played the limo driver in Windy City Heat, but also that guy was in a band.
Oh, yeah. The second best band in Palmdale.
Second loudest. Wait. What was the name of the Scourge?
Oh, God, give me a minute.
It was so funny because he was in the Dawson. They were in the second loudest band in Palmdale. And you know who the loudest band was in Palmdale?
I don't remember.
Windjammer. They were Calypso.
That's right.
They were Calypso band.
That's right.
And it was so funny that they're being beaten by Calypso band. Oh shit! You gotta figure that one out, Dawson. But it makes me laugh. Yeah, this guy was going to be the next Jim Carrey. Oh, what's his name? You can tell me his name, Dawson. It'll be right at the top of Frank. He is Frank McKlusky, so it's right. It was a major release. I don't know if Dolly Parton was in it.
Something Sheridan. I can't.
Dave Sheridan.
There you go.
Let's rock it.
I can't zoom in close enough.
No, it's not just Pow. Dave Sheridan. He's a good dude and funny guy. And played a lot of different stuff, but he was that guy. He was going to be that guy. I was in that movie. Anyway, the clip. All right, let's watch it. It's like, so Ace Ventura came out of nowhere, and then everyone scrambled and went, we got to do an Ace Ventura. So this is Frank McKlusky, CI.
Meet Frank McKlusky.
Hey, Mr. Belvedere.
His best friend just got whacked. And the cops are sure they don't care.
That's me.
You sure? Pretty sure.
Now, this ordinary guy has to solve a murder.
I'm gonna have to go undercover.
Even if it kills him. Dave Sheridan is Frank McKlusky, CI.
Springy thing, you can't be too safe.
Rated PG-13. Starts Friday, April.
By the way,
that went across the universe so bad that it got good again, I think.
I know.
the second loudest, greatest band in Palmdale was Van Stone.
Oh, Van Stone. Yeah, he was in Van Stone.
Yep.
And it was either Scourge or Windjammer.
I think it was Windjammer. They might have liked Scourge.
I don't know. I think they had issues with Scourge, too. Yeah, he was the lead singer of Van Stone. Think Spinal Tap. And they're from the Palmdale area, and they were the second loudest band from Palmdale, but they were beat out by Calypso band. Name, I think, Windjammer. I could be making that up. And one of them was called Scourge. It was
be fair, steel drums go hard.
Oh, yeah. And that was Dave Sheridan. Yes. Yeah, good dude. And Annie also, he was good in Windy City Heat. He played the limo.
I
limo
remember
driver.
his face, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Was amazing in what? Doofy. Scary movie.
Scary movie.
Scary movie. Yeah.
He did a great job, yeah.
Dave is a super talented guy that had a minute, and here's how Hollywood works. At some point, he got tapped to carry a movie, to be the lead in a movie that if it took off, he's set. If it fails, you don't never get a second chance to lead a movie. It's like you literally, you get one UFC fight and you fucking get knocked down in the first round and you just never get a second. The phone never rings again. And that's it's how life works with dates and job interviews and everything. But I mean, Dave was young and funny and like rubber faced and good looking. And they were going, this guy's the next Jim Carrey. We're going to put him in this movie. It was a big budget movie. It had plenty of people in it. It was a big movie. They launched it. It failed. His phone never rang again. That's just weird. That's just how this business
it's mean in these streets
works. Yeah. But he's funny and he's nice and he's versatile and he's talented. And I'd be curious what Dave Sheridan is up to. And by the way, it's a business where it's like who's funny and whatever. It's like it's so easy to be really funny and really talented and just not heard of ever again. Like, it's just crazy.
I can't find it here. I have it on my studio at home. But remember the theme song for Same Name Game? Same Name Game with Damashek singing it. Dave Sheridan gave me all of the instrumental Van Stone tracks and told me I could do anything I wanted with it.
Oh, really?
We were trying to come up with the intro. I'll find it. I'll bring it in tomorrow.
Okay.
But that was me and Damashek back in 06. Thanks to Dave Sheridan.
Anyway, I'll be doing a live show tomorrow night in Irvine at the Improv. Jay Moore's going to be up on stage with me, and that guy's just good on stage, man. That guy is good. So be prepared for that. Couple tickets left. Not too many. And then Covina, Laugh Factory, going to be doing a couple of shows there. Friday night and Saturday night. Couple tickets left for that. All right. Other things to talk about, complain about. I did drive through a part of the Palisades that I never do. Again, it's been 6 months for me. My commute takes me through the Palisades if I go back to Malibu, but it's been 6 months. So I found myself driving through the Palisades, a devastated Palisades, but I did find the one house that Karen Bass said was being rebuilt. She was touting like 3 weeks ago. I found that house. I also found three altogether. So I took some pictures of it just from my car rolling along. I took pictures of 3 or 4 structures as I was just taking it from my car windows. I was driving past it. And you can we'll put it up at adamcarolla.com. You can skim past these pictures, give a little perspective.
It's a new construction, you're saying?
New construction. Go ahead and do the next one, please. Thank you. Or something. Be prepared for the stuff we talk about. And I was looking at these structures, and give me another one, please. They're all wooden. They're all framed. They're all made with the dimensional lumber. They're all
dripped in kerosene.
It's just plywood, OSB, 2x4s, 4x4s, one big kindling box. Give me the next one. There's one that's sort of further away that I wanted to get in there so you can kind of see everything around it is burnt, and then but the actual house still sits there.
Have we learned nothing?
We've learned nothing. We've learned nothing. Where's it in the middle of the space shot, Andrew? Or you don't have whatever that is. Okay. It's weird.
These are the 4 photos I took from your phone.
What are the? Show me the 4 photos you took from my phone then. Sorry. Or you can bring me my phone. I can figure that one out too. That's 1. And then there's 2. And then there's 3. And then there's, that's one's a little further away. There may be one more where it's just in the middle of nowhere. It's burnt out. You can give me my phone. I'll look. But either way, everything around it is charred. And then there's a big wooden structure. And they're just stick framing this just the way they did back in the day. And I don't know, in a world of concrete and steel construction and modern day stuff, I do not know why we're going right back to wood-framed houses. And the reason I want the other pictures, Andrew, and I think it's on my phone, is it's a hellscape of burnt-down houses, and then we're going right back with the wood.
Yeah.
I don't, again, I know there's no code for it. I don't know why there's no code for it. It doesn't seem like a great plan to just rebuild out of wood. Every part of this house is a framed wooden house.
But it's got to be up to code, Ace. We got to follow the code.
Well, the code may be dictated by big timber.
Yeah.
And that's what I ended up sort of gleaning from a guy who builds cement houses that way.
Yeah, undoubtedly. Because I'm a technologist. At this stage in the game, we got 3D printed houses. Like, you can make it happen. Could be kind of an Adobe sort of setup. Put some cinder blocks down. Use some damn cake icing would be safer than this.
Yeah.
Because it's just a flammable structure all the way around.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Andrew, you missed the 2 pictures that are on my phone that were from far away. But when I handed you my phone, I said, just load up the house pictures. So that's what I thought we got. But we'll do it now. Either way, we'll gather that up, Andrew. We can figure that out. But it's weird to see everything burned to the ground and then a big wooden house getting put up right in the middle of it.
Well, how do you make a change? How do you fight against the lobbyists in the lumber industry? Because why would they want to change?
Here's what I will tell you about any business. Any business has a sort of protocol. Like you work with guys. I tell guys all the time. I built this whole studio complex back here, all out of metal stud, commercial metal stud. I talk to guys all the time. I go, just you do it out of metal. It's easier, it's cheaper, it's faster, it's pre-drilled, it's truer, it's cleaner. And they go, yeah, I don't do metal stud. I do wood stud. And you go, I know you do wood stud, but you do metal stud. It's easier, it's faster. It's not. There's nothing to it.
Makes sense.
They're like, yeah, we do wood stud. And I'm like, you do wood stud because your dad did wood stud and you do wood stud and now you have a circular saw that cuts wood and this is what you do. And your framers and your crew, this is what they do. But what I'm saying is do a different technique. It's better.
It's all prefab, you mean? And you just lay down, put up studs that are metal joists?
There's a lot of different ways to do it. And this is the picture I was showing, which was like everything is gone and there's just it seems inconceivable to have a big wooden structure being built in the middle of charred earth, but that's what we have. And I would not rebuild using old techniques, but I don't know why we're doing building that way anyway now in this modern. That shit sits out, gets mildewy, rains, gets shit, the nails get rusty, it gets like fucking moss on it and insects and shit like that, and then you wrap it.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? It's like, would you drive a car that was built outside and just left outside for 6 months before it got painted?
Yeah.
It's not the way to do it. That's just the way they do it. And I am surprised. I was at a Anawalt Lumber today and I was talking to a deck guy, right?
As one does.
And I said to the deck guy, what's the difference between this deck and that deck? Engineered deck material. And he said, well, this is treated, this has a, 2-hour burn rating or something. And I said, yeah, what's that? Well, if you're in a fire zone and you're going to put a deck on, like you're rebuilding in Pasadena, you're Altadena, you're rebuilding in the Malibu and so on and so forth, Palisades, by code, you have to use the decking that has the burn rating on it. Because you're in a fire zone. I go, okay, that's fine. The decking has a burn rating on it. The rest of the fucking house is just built out of kindling. So what the fuck does that mean? Anyway.
Flash paper.
All right. All right. We have, I don't know, you have that review of National Treasure. And I don't know the actress's name, so that's why we probably need to put that on there. But it made me, I had this vague recollection. National Treasure, the first episode, Justin Bartha co-stars in that. He's the comic relief in that. He's real good in it. The first one came out, I do believe, when my movie The Hammer came out. And it was in The Hammer was in a couple of theaters. And so me and Kevin Henschig, guy who wrote The Hammer with me, would go out. We'd go see if the crowd showed up or speak before the show or whatever. But National Treasure was the big movie that was playing in the Cineplex, and ours was in the small thing stuffed in the corner, which is fine. And one time after seeing National Treasure signs like one too many times, Kevin, when I met him on a Friday night at some theater somewhere where they're showing The Hammer, and National Treasure was still conquering the box office. He read me a review of National Treasure, and it highlighted Diane Kruger, who's the blonde who's in it, who's also in Inglourious Bastards. But I don't know. Do you have that, Andrew? Something stuck in my head about it.
I have the review. But again, I just got this 5 minutes ago. What are you looking for in the review?
See, this is the problem with our process. I was on the phone with Daphne 2 hours ago talking to her about that review.
I got some Diane Kruger information from the thing right here.
Yeah, is it insulting?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So
Diane Kruger.
That's what I was saying. This is from the Stanford Daily, and for some reason, Kevin Hench read this to me 15 years ago, and it just made me laugh.
I'll do a search for her name, but here we go.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. All right.
Diane Kruger
Yes.
outdoes her thankless and exploitative role in Tarantino's overrated Inglourious Bastards by playing another German woman with an even more horrendous accent.
Yeah, you guys can't talk when Dawson is talking into a microphone. You do? Do you understand that? Thank you. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'll find the next time it says Diane Kruger. That's one of them. You don't need to read it again. She outdoes her thankless and exploitative role in Tarantino's overrated Inglourious Bastards
Oh, this person's just a fucking hater. I mean, that's a good movie.
That's a great
by
movie.
playing another German woman with an even more horrendous accent.
All right, I'll give him that.
Stand
Her accent did seem kind of off in both movies. I don't know about National Treasure, but I always thought it was strange. I thought it was just because the character she was playing.
I don't know, but there's a specific one I was looking for because in you don't need to erase the screen, Andrew, but we can keep talking.
We
about
want to
that.
dunk on Diane Kruger.
But don't. I don't know. I've always had this conversation with people in that booth. You don't have to take information off the screen if we're talking about that information, if it's like someone's name.
Here's the next time Diane Kruger is mentioned. It is a shame, then, that critics didn't have their humor radars on when they watched Nick Cage crying when somebody speaks the words Declaration of Independence and lemon juice in the same sentence, or Diane Kruger evading a bald baddie with the help of a sassy black woman working at a carniceria.
Yeah, the one I was telling Daphne to look for, and she may have found it, I don't know, but there's one I read that just said, Kevin Hench read it to me. It just said, horrible actress Diane Kruger is in this movie. They just literally said horrible actress in front of her name.
Yeah.
That
That's
is
harsh.
not in
That's
this
pretty
article.
harsh. You know, it's easy to sit back and from the comment section and type you up a peanut gallery toss. But, you know, and when you're up in front of the camera, it's a little harder.
Yeah, see if you can find horrible actress Diane Kruger. But I don't get it because she's
a great actress. I
was
feel like
great
that's
in all
harsh.
this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe I'll hit up Hench and he'll Hench is the kind of guy who'll tell me what publication it was from and who the author of who the critic was.
Encyclopedia.
As well. He's that guy. He is that guy. All right. You got the news?
I do have the news.
All right. We'll continue this horrible actress quest. But that's the one Daphne gave you, Andrew, the one that Dawson just read. That was pretty bad, what you just read.
Yeah, that stung.
Yep. All right. We'll take a quick break. Come back to the news right after this. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Wow. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Well, you know the jingle. Now, they're in the business of keeping your car on the road, baby. O'Reilly Auto Parts offers friendly, helpful service and the parts knowledge you need for all your maintenance and repairs. There's these guys, been with these guys for a long time, long before they became a sponsor of this program. I'd go to the one. It was out in North Hollywood, and then later on I went to the one I just went to the other day up on Foothill in La Cañada. Always been a part of my life, always been a car guy. So whether you're a car aficionado or an auto novice, you're going to find the employees at O'Reilly Auto Parts are knowledgeable, helpful, and best of all, they are friendly. So you can stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. Morgan & Morgan. Here's a dirty little secret that the insurance industry may not want you to know about. They keep this under wraps. Insurance companies profit by holding on to your money for as long as possible. So, after an accident, they might do whatever they can to delay or deny your claim. This way, they can keep those profits growing. Morgan & Morgan fights hard against these corporations to fight to make sure you get every dollar you deserve. I like these guys. They're good. And they got a good sense of humor, too. Talk to the guys over at I think they're out of Vegas. I think that's where they started. But I have to double check. Anywhere. They're everywhere now. So when Morgan & Morgan takes on a case, they're almost always going after the big insurance companies and not the individuals at fault. There's a reason why Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury firm. Am I right, Dawson?
Hiring the wrong firm can be disastrous. Hiring the right firm could substantially increase your settlement. With Morgan & Morgan, it's easy to get started, and their fee is free unless they win. Just visit forthepeople.com/Adam or dial #law #529. This is a paid advertisement. Here's a memorable moment from the Adam Carolla Show's Ace Awards archives.
A produce supplier finds love.
Pete!
Splash! Holy shit. From 1984.
What? Wow.
Wow.
The 2025 Ace Awards, coming this December. Now back to the Adam Carolla Show.
Yeah, that's where you read the description. TiVo trivia time.
Topical TiVo trivia time.
I'm into it.
You just read the description and you got to guess the movie.
I get it. That's a great one.
Yeah, I'd say my greatest move of that one is a knife salesman.
I don't know, bud.
The Fan.
Oh, really? Never heard of
Robert De Niro plays a knife salesman.
it. In The Fan?
In the movie The Fan. Right. You never know where they're going to start with that. But I named myself Pete because it was a hard vowel consonant, and Adam was too soft, and I was getting beat.
You're talking about ringing in.
Pete, yeah.
Pete and repeat. We're sitting in the boat.
That's right. Adam's like, all right. And then someone's a guy named Pete would jump in and beat me. Right. All right, what do you got?
Got in the news, would-be kidnapper grabs a boy 6 off Coney Island Street as screaming child's parents chase him down in this wild video.
That's just drugs, right?
Yeah. Look, it looked like he was just casually walking around with them. And then once he saw the lady, he tossed the baby right at her.
What is that person?
He was feeling himself just a little bit too much.
There's a lot of mental illness, and it's just out on the street.
Well, you
now,
develop
right?
mental illness if you do enough drugs.
I guess so.
You know, it's indiscernible one from the other.
I guess so.
It's some people that just have a natural affinity, go that direction, but other people, they do drugs, and it erodes their brain. The impurities in the drugs eat up their brain, so now they're
He's also wearing a hat like he's a dervish.
Whirling one, or just a standard child grabbing one?
I'm so glad you brought up the term whirling dervish. Because when I did Dancing with the Stars, I went to my young dance partner and I referenced a whirling dervish. And she went, huh? And I said, whirling dervish. And she went, I don't know what that is.
Listen,
I said, that's all you do is dance for a living, and that's the only dancer I
would
know.
think so, yeah.
Why don't you know that?
Well, she's very sports specific. She's not over in the dervish world.
She's Mormon and 19 and from Utah.
Well-known dervishes over there.
Yeah, that's dervish country.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he snatched him up. They grabbed him. He's busted for kidnapping.
What is that guy?
Yeah, he's Jonathan Robalino.
Oh, get Ice up in there.
Yeah. I don't know. They didn't mention his immigration status. But, yeah, they
I'll tell you the scariest criminals are the impulse criminals. I don't mind the guys planning the diamond heist for 9 months or the train robbery. It's the impulse guys. It's just, I'm just going to push that person onto the subway tracks.
Yeah.
Or I'm just going to whack that person in the back of the head with a brick. Or I'm just going to snatch up this kid and walk away. Like, it's the impulse crime that gets me. I don't mind the capers.
It seemed like the way that he was acting wasn't like nefarious. Like, I'm going to capture this little kid and run off with him. It was like he was high and just
It was high. That was weird. I don't know if that was... That was not like a Patty Hearst-esque kidnapping or a Frank Sinatra Jr. or a Adolf Coors, I think, had his kid kidnapped.
Damn.
I'm pretty sure Adolf Coors of Coors Beer.
For extortion, for money, ransom.
Or beer.
I would think so.
I think Coors, there's some story about his kid getting kidnapped. Also, in the world of Whirling Dervish, I got a private tour of the Coors Brewery in Rocky Mountains up there with the water. And I had like the 28-year-old blonde chick, and she's going to take us on the tour, private tour. It was great. And I said, I'm from L.A. What was the whole Smoking the Bandit story? I mean, they took the Coors, they're taking it to Texarkana or something. Why? I don't get it. Why can't you just take Coors? Why can't you buy Coors in Texarkana or something? She goes, what? I go, Smoking the Bandit. Smoking the Bandit. What? They had the Bandit. I mean, there was smoke. I mean,
it was product placement in that movie.
They had it was 700 million cases. They were taking a case up from Texarkana to eastbound and down. Come on now. And she was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, Coors, the biggest Coors movie ever. Come on now. She's like, I was like, wow. Doesn't that have to be part of the curriculum before you learn to be a tour guide?
Everybody knows that they're thirsty in Atlanta and there's beer in Texarkana.
That's right.
She just wanted you to say Breaker 19.
It had something to do with non-pasteurized products or something.
Or transporting alcohol or across state lines.
No, because you could, if you were Pabst Blue Ribbon, you could do it, sell it in Oregon. You can sell it anywhere you want. I mean, it had something to do with Coors wasn't pasteurized, and they didn't allow that product in Atlanta. Because you could buy other beers everywhere, pretty much. Like Primo beer was like Hawaii, and you could buy it out here. And it wasn't the transport, it was the pasteurization. I think. You can look it up. But now...
Skirting some regulations there, Bandit.
Yeah, she didn't know what I was talking about. And then they give a whole big speech about the water. Like, it's the Rocky Mountain water that makes the difference. It's the Rocky Mountain water, right? And then after about 13 speeches about the Rocky Mountain water and why that makes the difference in their beer, they go, we just opened a new facility in St. Louis as well. And I go, well, how do you get the Rocky Mountain water to St. Louis? And she goes, it turns out the St. Louis municipal water is almost exactly the same pH. Like, all right,
water's water.
Cut the fucking shit, bitch. Cut. You don't know who Smoking the Bandit is. Now they're using this tap water from St. Louis. Give me a fucking break. Rocky Mountain. Adolf Coors III, heir to the Coors Brewing Company, was kidnapped on February 1960 and subsequently murdered.
Damn.
They
didn't even ransom him.
They tried. It was ransom gone wrong.
Oh.
But anyway, I know the parents have probably heard it 1,000 times, but your son is not Adolf Coors III. This is a rando street situation.
Yeah, totally.
Sorry, go ahead.
All right, next up, L.A. Mayor Karen Bass denounces and interferes with the ICE raid during a sweep of illegal immigrants in a gang-plagued area. Yeah, this is the park here, MacArthur Park, a large immigrant population.
Someone left the beans out in the rain. I don't think that I can take it 'cause it took so long to make it, and I'll never have that recipe again. You know MacArthur Park?
No, I don't.
I'm so happy that I'm just enough younger than you that I was never tortured with that song.
I love that song. Are you kidding me?
You're always dropping knowledge.
That's one of my favorite songs. All right, so MacArthur Park, traditional shithole taken over by gangbangers. Basically, you go to MacArthur Park if you need a fake ID.
Oh, really?
Or Vax card or something. That's where you'd go to MacArthur Park because that's where all the gangbangers, Mexicans hang out.
Well,
so
they
swept
right here.
it. Yeah.
You can make that big because that's a
yeah.
This is the operation with they had horse and everything. Like it was a whole deal.
But Karen Bass is on the side of the illegals, so that's her world. That's her
she had a lot of quotes. I didn't know if we had that video.
Here's what I would love. Here's what you know when they do that stuff where they go like they'll do those news things where they'll tabulate stuff. And it's usually the right conservative guys doing it. They'll go, so here's the kind of stuff they'll do. They'll go talk about Trump and Russian collusion between NBC, ABC, and CNN and MSNBC, 200,000 hours last month. Talk about Hunter Biden's laptop, 41 seconds combined of all the networks. So you go, okay, these are the stories they're covering. These are the stories they're not covering. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they have an agenda. So it's like tons and tons of Russian collusion talk or whatever, PP tape, a Steele dossier talk, no talk about Hunter Biden's real laptop. That's an actual thing because that's the way they run their news. Yeah. Okay. If you took Karen Bass and Newsom, so if you took the mayor of Los Angeles and the governor of California and you just went combined Twitter, press conference, written statements and talk based on Trump fighting Trump, ICE fighting ICE versus permits, rebuilding efforts, Palisades. Right. Yeah, you would get 200 million minutes of them fighting with zero fucking permit talk. So in one world, your place just got done burning to the ground, but there's zero updates. There's no, hey man, another victory. Here's some info for those who are looking for permits. Here's some building info. Here's whatever, updates and info. None of that. It's all we're fighting Trump and we're fighting ICE. So that's who they are. I mean, here's the deal. That's what they care about, everybody. They don't care about rebuilding shit. They care about fighting Trump, at least the optics in terms of their constituency. So that's where they're at. You like the UFC. I like vintage race cars. That's what we do.
Yeah.
I don't talk about stuff I don't care about, but she doesn't care about rebuilding. She cares about fighting Trump.
This is really interesting. This is her mentality.
Right, here it is. Clip.
Absolutely. As soon as they stop marching troops that disrupt our kids in parks. Yes. Right. And then you know, Pete, I mean, there's conversations that happen in public and then there's other conversations too. What did you say?
This was not, since you said nobody was arrested, and I didn't determine if anyone was arrested or not. This looked purely like it was reconnaissance.
She's, by the way, a communist.
Troops to do that. And by the way, how about using undercover folks or drones? They really needed to use all of that military equipment as reconnaissance?
Yeah, do you think it was just a dog and pony show?
Well, I call it a political stunt. If you want to call it a dog and pony show, go right ahead. Same thing.
With this going on for more than a month now, are you starting to feel like you're not even in control of the situation, or is there a feeling of helplessness?
No, I will never feel helpless, and I don't think anybody here feels helpless. That's not in our DNA. We're going to continue fighting.
They got to fight. They got to fight. All right. Everyone's fighting. You got to fight. You got to stand up. You got to fight. You got to say something. You got to be heard. You need to sit at the table.
I found a really wonderful tweet from the Los Angeles Times from yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Picture of Gavin Newsom looking.
Is he standing
serious.
and fighting?
He's got his chin up and he's looking into the battle on the horizon and thinking about getting in. It says 6 months after LA fires, Newsom calls for federal aid while criticizing the Trump administration.
I know.
It's not Newsom rebuilt anything or took any concrete steps to actually help the state of California.
It's basically that headline is son makes fun of his stepdad for being fat while asking him for the keys to the Mercedes.
Yeah.
It's like, you need this guy to bail you out, but you keep critiquing him, criticizing him, and attacking him, and it makes him not want to help you out. And as a citizen who would like to be helped out, I would ask that you stop attacking the guy we're asking to help.
Adam, that hat looks horrible. Can I get a raise?
That's exactly what he's doing. Hold on, we're paying you? All right, what else you got?
Oh, next up is the Gary Coleman's ex-wife, Shannon Price, flunks a polygraph about a actor's fatal fall. Pretty big deal.
What? First off, that different strokes and that just turned out to be a shit show. It's kind of interesting because Todd Bridges was the original fuck up in that crew. It
was the 80s.
Right.
Yeah.
It was money,
Smoking
it was
crack.
cocaine. It was like, so he got out of the gate as like the lead fuck up in that group.
You're right.
Now, 30 years later, everyone's dead and Todd's fine.
He got it together somewhere along the line.
Because Arnold's dead and Mrs. Drummond or Mr. Drummond's dead.
Yeah.
And the housekeeper's dead, and Dana Plato's dead. I think Dana went first. Drugs. Robin. And by the way, whether it's her or Heidi Fleiss, anytime you end up in Pahrump, there's problems.
You're right.
There's problems. She went. So then Arnold fell off the stairs or balcony or something, like a double wide trailer, something, like lived in a shitty trailer, fell down the stairs or something and died. And then
there's a clip. She went on this show and she kind of did a polygraph test. And when they asked her, did you have any kind of thing to do with his fall, she turned out to be deceptive on those questions.
Really?
Yeah, so now she just put herself in the crosshairs.
Why would she go on a show and do maybe
to get out of the trailer for an evening that her boyfriend died in?
Well, maybe we can watch a clip or something. Did he fall downstairs in a trailer? Something like that? I got a head full of Frank McKlusky and Van Stone and Adolf Coors III. You know what I mean? It's fucking. It's amazing I can keep up with half of this shit that's rattling around in my head.
Yeah,
Gary Coleman
not
died
Webster, you asshole. Jesus Christ, that's Arnold.
What'd you talk about, Willis?
You did a black simile right there.
Black simile all in my head.
All right, sorry, go ahead.
Gary Coleman died from a bad fall. Shannon says it is time to prove that she did not kill Gary.
If you had anything to do physically with Gary's fall, the polygraph's going to show that. You know what I mean by physical, right?
Oh, I know. Pushing him, shoving him, throwing him overboard.
Is this important to you?
Yes.
Get serious.
Let's do this.
Lie Detector, Truth or Deception, premieres Thursday, July 10th at 9.
I didn't know he married Bethany. That lady.
They have to pay these people to go 100%. On this show, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, there's no.
I mean, why would you admit to a murder for free?
Yeah, I don't know. Also, it's not. I guess it's not admissible, or it's not. You're going to need more than that. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, I'm just saying they could start an investigation because of that and exhume the body.
I don't know. Maybe we should all just go out like James Dean and not have to hang around and watch everyone die.
Yeah. That's why I'm glad Heath Ledger's dead.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't want him to see this.
I woke up thinking that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank goodness I thought he's gone. Because you have to just hang out, watch everybody.
Exactly.
Everyone just die. Know what I mean? I got the two guys. I got the two guys I was always mistaken for dead. I got Gilbert Godfrey.
Yeah.
Norm Macdonald.
Oh.
I got my two guys I was dead.
Well, turns out you're the Highlander.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Just going around.
I feel bad.
Killing comedians with raspy, hard voices.
People, you know what you realize as you travel through life? nobody pays any attention to anything. And it pisses me off because I pay attention to shit, but no one else does. And so they're never listening. They don't even know, they don't even know. They think they know you from something. They got you mixed up with somebody else. I tell you, I had somebody call me Norm Macdonald 6 months after he died. I was like, is this ever going to end? He's dead. Jesus Christ. By the way, you know who Norm Macdonald is. Why don't you know he's dead? That's all.
I didn't even know he was sick.
Now, he kept it quiet, but there are other rumors. I don't know.
Sorry, that's a Norm joke. Sorry, man.
He was a good dude.
Great.
But weird. And then he didn't drive
Obviously.
himself. Yeah. Can I say something? I think comedians, hot chicks know they're hot. And so hot chicks just kind of do what they want. And they never say, I'm late all the time because I'm hot. And they never say anything because I'm hot. But there's a little understanding that that's what they get to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, hell yeah.
And they just then no hot chick ever goes, I do what I want because I'm hot. No one really gives me any shit, so fuck you, bitches. You can wait. Like, I'll be a half hour late to brunch, and you guys can all sit there, stare at your napkins.
But if
I'm
you
hot.
bring it up to them, they will just stonewall you. They don't even believe it. They say, no, because I'm nice.
They act
like there's some type of cognitive dissonance.
Here's my point.
Yeah.
There's a lot of comedians who act weird and do what they want because they're comedians. And they go, I'm a fucking comedian. So I don't, you go, get up in the morning. They go, I don't get up. I'm a comedian. Change that tire. Like, I'm not fucking change the tire. I'm not doing that shit. Drive over to the studio. I'm not coming. I don't drive. I'm not coming to the studio. Like, they kind of use it. It's not a full-time crutch.
Yeah.
But it's a bit of a crutch. And people make room for them. Like, they'll go, Norm, he's, the creative types. He's not going to be on time. He's not going to drive himself. You have to. It's not enough to remind him on a Monday what time the flight is on a Friday. You're going to fucking call him Friday and remind him because he's not going to remember. And it's kind of like, is it that or does he just falling back on it?
I just know as a pro fighter back when I was a kid, I just had everything done for me all the time, and I just assumed it. I had a learned helplessness that I had to unlearn because you just got used to being pampered.
Yeah, and it's like, again, the hot chick kind of knowing that the people will wait on her, and you know what I mean?
But the game's over if she admits that, so she has to dance around.
There's a out of it comedian. Norm Macdonald got a lot of mileage out of just going, I don't drive. And it's like, if a dude is a roofer or a dude's a pool man or a school teacher and he goes, I don't drive. You go, fuck you don't. I'm not fucking picking you up. Get a fucking permit and learn how to drive, you lazy sack of shit. But when you're creative, you get to make these announcements. That's all.
Yeah.
All right, Justin is waiting in the Zoom. I'm very excited to speak to him. We'll take a quick break. Talk to actor Justin Bartha right after this. Homes.com. Some might say Homes.com is the best home shopping site, and it may be because Homes.com has a super comprehensive and transparent agent directory, or maybe it's that Homes.com is the only site that always directly connects you with the listing agent who knows the home the best. Perhaps it's because Homes.com has the most in-depth neighborhood content of any home shopping site that's extensively researched to highlight the personality of each neighborhood. Homes.com goes above and beyond to bring home shoppers the in-depth info they need to find the right home. So if you're looking for a home or you're just doing what I do, just kicking tires on the internet, you always go to Homes.com. Homes.com. We've done your homework. Breeze. All right, let's talk about drinking without the next day regret. You want a buzz, not a hangover. Meet Breeze, spelled B-R-E-Z, pronounced Breeze. That's right. This isn't your average seltzer. We're talking hemp-derived THC, CBD, functional mushrooms, nootropics, adaptogens, all in one can. You'll feel it in 10 minutes. Lasts about an hour and a half, like a cocktail, but you keep your dignity. They've got everything from the OG Micro for a gentle lift, Italian lemon elderflower, just enough to take the edge off, to the Drift, Blueberry Lotus for winding down, tuning out, and actually sleeping. Sparkling, lightly sweetened with agave, all organic, vegan, non-GMO, no weird stuff, no hangovers, no regrets, just brighter colors, louder laughs, tastier snacks. Am I right, Dawson?
Ready to experience the future of drinking? Head to try.drinkbreeze.com/Carolla and use code Carolla for a $5 credit and free shipping on your first order. Breeze. Drinking has evolved. Consult with a physician before you use if you're pregnant, nursing, or have any known or suspected allergies or medical conditions or are taking any medication. FDA has not evaluated these products for safety or efficacy. Products are intended for 21 and older.
It's time for Nicaraguan Name That Movie with Adam's buddy Oswaldo. See if you can guess which movie this famous line is from.
I mean, Luca Brasi sleep with the fishes.
If you said The Godfather,
That means Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes.
You're correct. Now, back to the show.
Justin Bartha has joined us via Zoom. Nuked is the name of his new movie. It'll be in theaters and on digital and on demand, and that is coming up this Friday, July 11th. Justin, from the Hangover trilogy and also National Treasure. And I'll tell you this, Justin. A couple days ago, we were here and we have a big whiteboard, and someone wrote 4th of July weekend movies to watch. And the top one said National Treasure. And then I walked this whole building and I went, who wrote National Treasure up there? And it turned out 24-year-old Chuck wrote it. And I said, Chuck, I was going to fire you, but not anymore.
All right.
I saw that movie in the theater. Thank you, Chuck. So good to speak to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I've been a fan of yours for years.
Well, I've been a fan of yours for years as well. And of course, I mean, The Hangover, which is, I don't know, no one could have seen that coming, right?
No, I mean, I think not to the level that it got, for sure. I mean, we shot it pretty under the radar, and then R-rated comedies at that time, you know, they were like, there was some breakouts, but there seemed to be like a ceiling. Like, I think the comp that we were like, when we went into it, we're like, you know, if we got to like Pineapple Express kind of level, that would be amazing. And then it just kind of took off. So, you know, Todd Phillips made that movie. Do you know Todd? I feel like you guys would know each other.
I can't say that I know him, but I'm sure I've spoken to him before.
Yeah. So Todd had an amazing track record and I think has made some of the great comedies ever. So, you know, we knew that we had a chance, but, you know, none of us were really known entities. I was the most famous guy at the time. You know, this was before Bradley and Zach really blew up, and Ed. So, you know, we knew it was funny, but we didn't know it would take off like it did.
Yeah, because National Treasure predated that, right?
Right. Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was a big movie and a big Nick Cage movie, and I love those kinds of movies. I just have a lot of, I don't know, call it comfort food or something, you know? It's like it's mac and cheese of movies or something. Like it just, there's always room for those movies in my world.
I agree. National Treasure you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, The Hangover's, you know, old school and The Hangover and all, you know, Wedding Crashers and stuff like, you know, that goes without saying. That's great. But there are other movies that I think they're a little more Americana. I don't think the critics respond to them like they should. And some people would turn their nose up at them. And for me, it's just comfort food.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, those movies really became the kind of the gift that kept on giving. We made that when I was in my early 20s, and they just, like, every generation, it seems like this shareable thing. Chuck obviously put it on this 4th of July.
24.
Okay.
Yeah.
But 24, and I've had, people come up to me and say that they watch it with their parents and their grandparents, and it's this movie that is comfort food for sure. And they're few and far between these days. It's tougher to make those, that don't, it wasn't an original IP at the time. It was, a big action adventure thing with deference to like Indiana Jones. So yeah, when you can get them, they're great.
Are you guys working on a third?
Ish. I mean, they've been trying to put it together for a long time. There's like scripts that have been written and, they've kind of come together and fallen apart, and it's been development for a long time. I think if Nick is obviously one of the greatest that has ever done it, and he's kind of back on top, I think. So I think that there's certainly a want for it. I mean, every day I feel like I get asked for a third one. So it's just, if you know Bob Iger, maybe give him a call and see if you can push it along.
Well, how did Nuked come about for you?
Nuked, during the pandemic, the writer-director, Dina Kashper, sent it to me. And it was this great little movie. It was a high-concept comedy. It's about a group of people like that. Myself and Anna Camp are married in it, and we're celebrating our birthdays, and we have like a big, our best buddies from the last 20 years come together in this big house that we rent. And then we have a no phones party. And then we find out that a nuclear weapon is headed straight towards us. And it's this kind of big R-rated adult stoner comedy that is just kind of, again, like kind of a throwback. And it was sent to me during the pandemic, and then the director and I kind of developed it while we were in lockdown. And it's a lot about relationships and how kind of couples have changed, especially during the lockdowns and everything like that.
How much can you tell in real time how good or how funny something is going to be? Because I feel like you can make a movie and still not really know how much was captured, how much of a lightning in the bottle thing. Like comedy is so fickle. Yeah. That like I've shot so many things, and it's really still hard to gauge like what's really going to land versus what seemed funny on the page, but just didn't, you watch it and then edit bay and you just go, I guess I thought it was funnier, Yeah. And so even though you're there, you don't really fully know what you have until you watch the finished product, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a great question. And, and with movies, especially, we shot this a few years ago, and then, it goes through rounds of editors, and it's like constantly changing. Good movies are so hard to make, especially comedies. Yes. You don't know what was funny then. You don't know what's funny now. It depends on the angle. It depends on which take they use. So it's tough. I've been involved with things where I'm like, this feels like it's firing on all cylinders. And then it comes out and it's a huge bomb, and then vice versa. So, with this, and then also, what's interesting and frustrating sometimes, like with this movie, it's basically for rental. You can, like a lot of movies now, it's not really playing in theaters, besides a few select theaters and screenings. And so much of this experience, like we played at the Tribeca Film Festival, and it played like before I watched it in front of an audience, I was like, it's pretty funny. It's pretty good. It's solid. I don't know how great, I don't know. And then we put it in front of an audience, and it was gangbusters. It was people were rolling in the aisles. And I don't know how much that is because people are just desperate to see a comedy in theaters. And then you're like, well, if they really want to see a comedy in theaters, they're going to watch it at home. Does it play the same? And it's, there's so many factors at play. But I think this movie, it's about couples and it's about relationships and it's about the end of the world, which we can all identify with now. So there is an evergreen feeling to the comedy, and it works. We thought it was funny, and it's funny. Sometimes it doesn't play out that way.
No, you know what I always say about comedies? Comedies, you could take, I could say to you, Justin, what are your 10 favorite ingredients for a stew? And you just give me all 10, and I'd put them all in the pot, and then I'd go, what do you like? Seasoning-wise, you go, I like garlic and I like paprika. I go, all right. And then at some point, I cook it all up, and you'd take a little spoon taste, and you'd go, I don't know. And I'd go, why? It's all the stuff you love. And you'd go, I know. It's just not. And
I know there's a magic that has to happen. It's really wild. It's this alchemy that sometimes you get it and sometimes you don't.
I think it's what makes humans human. That little 10% of can't quite explain to somebody who would be from a different race or alien race or different planet or something. Like, you couldn't really explain to them why something was funny. And
I completely agree.
And even the people that create it can't fully wrap their mind around it. It's like saying, I want this video to go viral. It's like, well, nobody can. The best internet guys in the world cannot guarantee that and don't have control over it. The guys,
I hope. Maybe that will protect us from the AI master race that is coming for us. But I think it's that that unexpected little piece of magic that happens. It's certainly the difference. It's hard to bottle. But for me, what this project has, it's that kind of it's that human interplay. It's the couples. It's the relationship that feels so familiar, yet also is kind of new in this, it's this heightened situation of the nuclear bomb. It really is an impossible thing to describe.
Yeah,
But I see it.
No, but art is, I guess, that way when people are looking at paintings of many years ago. Man, I was like 18, maybe 19, and I was just sort of living in my dad's garage and looking for work anywhere I could find it, not going to college or anything. And my friend called me and he said, look, I can get you a day's work if we drive this van to Santa Barbara. It's filled with all these cheap paintings, and then we set them up in like the lobby of a hotel, and then they have an auction, and then we just collect the ones that are left and we take them back to this place in Glendale. I said, okay. And, I got paid, get in the van, load the van, went to van. And I was unloading all the paintings and putting them up on easels where people would bid on them. And there was one that was particularly heinous. And I remember just going, this is an embarrassingly bad painting. They had these big sofa-sized paintings, like we'd be like in a bad 70s motel, Sure. And I was like, this is one. We had 80 paintings. I was like, this one is embarrassing. It's never going to sell. And about 10 minutes later, a guy walked up who was a bidder, and they're all doing a preview thing. And he walked right to this painting and goes, I love this painting. I'm going to call it Love of Life. And then he went back and sat down and then proceeded to bid on it. And I was like, I guess I don't know anything. Because I just said this was the worst painting in this room. But to this guy, he not only he bought it, but he dubbed it Love of Life.
One man's art is another man's garbage, for sure.
And so it's tough. And comedy's the toughest, I think, because tragedy can follow a pretty good formula that's pretty straightforward. You've got a choice. It's Sophie's choice. You only can keep one child. The music swells, the tears flow. It's like, all right, yeah, I get that. That's doable. Everyone's going to react the same way to that.
Yeah. I think a lot of it comes down to point of view. I think from what I've noticed in my career with the filmmakers and the artists that I've worked with, the most successful things, the most interesting things are always come from someone with a very specific point of view that sees the world in one way that also you can really glom onto. And I think with drama, it's a little wider. I mean, because, we all have those emotions. And then with comedy, I think you can, you can go broad or you can go, I think we're in a time right now where it kind of gets uber specific, but it's like when you see for instance, with this, the end of the world, which we all know, the pandemic, we were all thinking about death for years. When you look back at it, you're like, we're all wearing we're all walking around with masks on. It's ridiculous. The frustration that we have, it is all so ridiculous when you just take a step back and to see that through that kind of frustrating, ridiculous lens. There's something a little bit more cathartic to me than just looking at it and be like, that was so sad. People died. That's inevitable. That's life. But how do we see things from a prism of humor? And that's what kind of separates us, I think.
Do you have a routine or rituals or diets or things like that sort of keep you in some sort of sane, grounded place in a world where everyone's just kind of floating? It's real easy just to kind of drift places and get caught up in your phone and your screen or your Twitter battle or something like that. Do you have a cold plunge or hike or a diet or a meditation? Or for me, I'm a big fan of like build a tree house, get a project going. I sort of sit back and I sit around all a lot of time, and I think about how there used to be tons of hobbies in this land, and people had hobbies and they had hobby stores, and every town had 5 hobby stores, little shacks, not big, Walmart sized ones, but ma and pa. You'd walk in there and it'd smell like models and vulcanized rubber. It had like its own, every store had its own smell. Everything sells everything now, so there's no one smell. We had like a liquor store smell and the transmission shop smell and the hobby store smell, and like stores like had their own vibe and aura, and people got into half the commercials I saw on TV were for some glass cutter thing where you could make your own glasses out of a 7-Up bottle and stuff like that. Like, it was pure hobby, and people are like engaged and sort of not chewing on their own limbs all day like
there's no
like
store
a dog
anymore. Now it's Amazon, so you don't even get the smell of the store because you're just doing it over the computer.
Right, and the weird thing, the foreplay of it where you pointed at something behind a glass counter and you'd go, pull out that one, and the person would get confused and start reaching for another. No, that one. Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, every store had its own smell. It all had its own vibe, and people were really tangible and sort of engaged in stuff. And I realized that kept people sane and people not having any material attachment. Like, we need some analog time, not all digital world stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I don't know, what do you do? Or how do you do it?
I mean, I ping pong back and forth from healthy to extremely unhealthy. But I have things that I love, that I've loved forever, that I continue to prioritize, like playing basketball every week. I live in New York, so I love to ride my bike everywhere. I walk everywhere. I love this city. I love being in the city. I love to write. I love to, I've got kids, so I spend a lot of time with my kids. And take in everything the city has to offer, see theater, stuff like that. But, I also, I certainly have gotten, it's gotten dark in the past few years where you fall off that wagon. And for me, recently I did like It's something called Hoffman. I don't know if you've heard of this.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I have heard of that.
So I did this. It's kind of like a mental health retreat, like an emotional boot camp type of thing that I was always interested in for a long, long time. And I finally did it. And part of that is getting off your phones and being completely tech-free for 9 days. Mm-hmm. And that was heaven. And it gives you, and it also, it was amazing. And it gives you some tools to kind, I've tried meditating. I've tried everything, therapy, meditation, all that stuff. And I think it's all beneficial, but some of it for me was a little unrealistic or I just was lazy and I just didn't do it. And this, kind of reframed some of that stuff, and was able to give me some, a foundation to work from, and appreciate everything that I have, all that stuff. So I think when it comes to feeling healthy, mental health, I know it's a kind of a buzzword that everybody talks about now. And I think that a lot of that has gone away, partly because people have less, working on things and they have more time to be on their phones and get sucked in. It's part of what this movie is about too. So, I try to stay off the phone as much as possible. But I get sucked in. And then this Hoffman thing gave me some tools to bring me back out of that, the dregs of digital life.
Yeah, all right. I want to talk about Hoffman because I have heard about it a lot, and I'm of two thoughts.
Yeah.
I come from a group of therapists, basically, essentially.
Your parents are therapists, or?
It's hard to explain, but I don't have a large family. But my grandmother, I never knew either one of my biological grandfathers. I have a step-grandfather. And then my mom's an only child, and my dad has a couple of brothers that passed, but they were from Philadelphia and they never flew. Or it was real scattered, kind of poor mentality stuff.
Okay.
And my grandmother became a counselor at the Veterans Administration in Westwood, California, out here, and that was her job for a million years. And then my dad was essentially a special school teacher, and then sort of became a therapist after that. And my mom was always on some sort of quest to better herself emotionally after a troubling childhood. And so I basically watched people go on a sort of journey but never arrive at a destination and didn't have a lot to show for it at the end of the day or at the end of their life. And I started thinking, why not win a marathon or build a cabin, or like really go out and do something, with a plaque or a trophy or a picture or a ribbon. And I'm not just talking about accolades, but just the feeling of finishing that bedroom you just added on or that big deck you just put on in front of your place or whatever, like something a little more tangible. And they were a little more like, you should read this book on deck building and then talk to a therapist. And I was like, I think we should build a deck. I think that'll feel pretty good.
Yeah.
And they never built the deck. They read the book about it, and then they spoke to a therapist about it. And the older I get, I started to really realize that, talk therapy is fine, but like jumping into a cold lake and then getting out and running 6 miles, I think's going to do you better.
I completely agree, but I also think it's a combination of both.
Yes.
I think, it's funny. My wife is totally of that mentality. She's like a person that just keeps moving and is a doer. And she's a fitness professional as a job. And I think like her working out so much, she has no bullshit going on in her brain. It's like she is of the let's build a cabin, and she does it. I kind of tend to do both. I mean, I've tried a little of building stuff, and then I've been doing talk therapy for a while. But I also think that all those things have limits. And to me, it's like I have a little bit of a searcher mentality, but I also feel like for years I'm like it's all bullshit. I agree with everything with what you're saying. And And then I got to say, I did this thing for a week. I've done a couple of little things like this, whether it's like, a seminar when I was younger to quit smoking. And it works, like I quit smoking because of the seminar I did. So there's certain things like whether I'm not saying it's a mental hack, it's reframing the way your brain works that helps a little. I'm not saying it's the answer to everything, but I am saying that what I got out of this thing, which I was incredibly suspect and didn't want to go and was put it off forever, it definitely rewired me in a way that, the anxiety that I was dealing with for many different reasons, for real world reasons, not just from the kind of malaise, whatever that, bourgeois malaise is. It's from, shit that I went through in my life, whether it's medical issues, whether it's, stuff that happened. I didn't have a way to deal with it, and talk therapy wasn't working. And things that whether it's drugs, or people love doing psychedelic drugs, all that stuff, none of that worked. With this, it was like, I'll try this, and it worked.
Well,
I'm not
tell
saying
tell me about Hoffman, because I've heard about it a few times. No, I think I've talked to a few people that have engaged in it. It all makes sense in that, when people go, look, it's like sometimes when people talk about certain religions, like when I was young, I had someone trying to get me into Buddhism,
Yep.
And they're like, you sit and you chant on things. And if you want something, what do you need? I need a new pickup truck. Then you sit and you chant on it every day for an hour, and I was like, well, of course, if I carve out an hour and just focus on my new pickup truck, I probably will get a pickup truck faster, because that makes sense, And there's certain things where they're like, it's about putting the phone away, it's about eating clean, it's about exercising, it's about going to bed early. It's like, yeah, okay, yes, everyone is going to be better, feel better if you do that. But that's good basic sort of grandpa stuff.
Absolutely.
But Hoffman, is there a secret sauce to it? Is it different than the sort of stuff grandma already knew?
Yes and no. First of all, there's no religion at all attached to it. And there's no secrets attached to it. It's like, it's all open source. You could figure out what they're, doing pretty easily. The main conceit is just breaking patterns, which, a lot of people talk about, but it gives you, it's almost like a little like week crash course in like an emotional boot camp and breaking patterns. So to me, it felt like this like psychedelic trip without drugs. And you're learning before you go in, you fill out kind of like all this paperwork about what your own patterns are, what you think your patterns are from childhood to now, what you do, what you think about yourself and what you do. Whether it's, your guilt trip people, whether it's you're anxious, all that stuff. There's hundreds of them. And then you break them down and you figure out where they come from. It's always pretty much your parents. Mm-hmm. And then you kind of tackle that. And then after you tackle that with your parents, you move on to basically yourself. And you're filling in a lot of space that was taken up by these patterns that we all live through subconsciously and consciously. You can't really help. You're programmed to do. So it's a little bit of a deprogramming in a sense.
120 life. All right, let's get serious for a second. High blood pressure is the number one risk factor for mortality. Yes, the number one for life or death. That's correct. High blood pressure. And here's a stat that'll make you sit up. In 1 of 2 adults, they have high blood pressure. That's right. It's a coin toss whether you have it or not. So you or me. I can tell you it's me. I just recently found out I have this and I got to deal with it. And that's why I love 120 Life. Now, 120 Life isn't just for high blood pressure. If you've got diabetes, listen up. Manage your blood pressure, and it helps with that too. 2 birds, 1 stone, and it tastes pretty good. The stuff's legit. Over 750 doctors recommend 120 Life to help manage blood pressure naturally, not some fly-by-night operation. They've been around for a while. Plus, 120 Life actually tastes good. It's a blend of super fruit juices, refreshing, flavorful. I just add it to my shaker bottle. And it doesn't taste like lawn clippings like a lot of those health drinks. I spoke to the inventor on the phone for quite a long time. They don't have to do it. They're kind of set up financially, but he had high blood pressure and he wants a natural way to lower yours. They have a money-back guarantee. They have a 2-week trial pack. You can try it. If it doesn't work, money-back guarantee. They don't want to sell you something if it's not working for you. Am I right, Dawson?
For a limited time, try 120 Life and save 20% off. Just use the code Adam at checkout at 120life.com. 120 Life offers a risk-free trial with a full refund if you don't see lower numbers in 2 weeks. Go to 120life.com and use the code 80AM to save 20%. There's nothing to lose except your high blood pressure numbers. Go to 120life.com and use the code Adam to save 20% off. Remember, you must use code Adam to get this special offer.
This summer, Pluto TV is exploding with thousands of free movies. Summer of Cinema is here. Feel the explosive action all summer long with movies like Gladiator, Mission Impossible, Beverly Hills Cop, Good Burger, and Transformers: Dark of the Moon. Bring the action with you and stream for free from all your favorite devices. Pluto TV. Stream now. Pay never.
Your parents, your dad's commercial real estate guy, I do believe, and that sounds.
Yeah, he was a department store manager. I was born in Florida, and he was like a assistant manager at a Burdine's department store, and then worked his way up to manager. And then we moved to Michigan when he got a job at like a commercial real estate development firm. And he put stores in malls kind of thing. And my mom was a teacher.
Sounds pretty stable.
Yeah, it was pretty stable. Yeah, they were great parents. My dad, it was, American dream. He worked his way up. We were middle class, worked his way up to upper middle class by the time I was in college. I went to college with all student loans, and by the time I was graduating, he had worked his way up to pay off my student loans.
So, there's lots of bad parents out there. Sounds like yours were pretty good. There's always really good. Seems to be some baggage. There's things that parents lay on kids. I don't know why. I feel maybe this is a little cathartic, but I feel like there's way too much parents telling kids shit that they just shouldn't tell them. Just kind of let them be kids, leave them alone. Let them enjoy
in what way? Telling them?
Well, there was a movement that sort of predates you, which is a sort of a kids are people too, and they're sort of like young adults, and parents could lay a bunch of shit on kids when they shouldn't have even heard about this kind of stuff or knew what, it's important to know what's going on with mommy and daddy's relationship kind of stuff, because
that predates me. When do you think? I feel like that's kind of more of a modern thing, no?
Well, everything is new again. Ecology is, turned into the ice age, turned into global warming, turned into, it's just all a bunch of stuff that it gets
cyclical.
Yeah, it's very cyclical. It's like 50 years comes around and we get into we revisit the same movements over and over again, which is a weird thing. It's just the group that's revisiting it wasn't around during the last time, so they don't really know it.
I didn't come from that. I came from a pretty emotionally closed off fan. I mean, my parents are great. My family is great. But I was pretty independent early on, and my dad was, he was working all the time.
Yeah.
Just always working. And my mom, my mom was a homemaker for a while and then was working, and it's like I was kind of left to my own devices, and we certainly weren't, they didn't put their own stuff on me. If anything, they hid anything negative from me. So there was a little bit of a glossy feel to it.
Yeah, well, I think what happened was that was this sort of 50s version of Americana, which is, mommy presents as the perfect housewife, and then she goes to the bedroom and has a few of mommy's little helpers and passes out in front of on the top of the bed. And then there became this thing where everyone needs to share and be open, and probably went a little too far the other direction. You know, in terms of like working dads, I've always said that there are two dads. There's a kind of practical dad that plays catch with you, hopefully, and takes, protects you and things like that. And then there's a kind of dad that lives in the young man's head. And what I'm saying is if your dad you talk to a kid and they go, when I was 3, my dad just split. We never saw him again. I think he remarried. And that was it. That kid is kind of scarred by that.
Sure.
If the dad, when the kid was 3, was a naval pilot, it was an aviator, he went to Vietnam and he was shot down by MiG, then that memory's hero dad. You know, my dad was a patriot. My dad was a hero. He wanted to come back to us, but he was fighting for this country. Either way, you haven't seen your dad since you were 3, but there's a different dad. It's
a story that you
in
tell.
Your head. Right. And everyone I know who didn't really see their dad but goes, my dad worked really hard. Like my dad, I didn't see him that much because he was working. He was taking care of us. It's like, that's a much different dad than I didn't see dad very often because he was at the bar with his girlfriend.
Yeah, my dad was not at the bar with his girlfriend that I know of. I mean, he traveled a bit, but he was a worker, man. He was a hard worker, and he. He was a great dad. I have great parents. I really do. And it's not like, I don't know if this, I don't think, I'm not saying like when we talk about Hoffman, the patterns, everything, this isn't like because my parents screwed me up and now I'm like, this, it's just I do think that the idea of, identity and certainly mental health, which is, I know, everywhere now and could seem a little trite because it's everywhere. It just wasn't a conversation, until recently. And I think there's a reason why it's everywhere now and people are searching. And I think that's a good thing. I think they're, obviously, what you're saying with go build a house, go jump in a cold lake, I think that's great. Also a great additive way to live. But it's like everyone finding the right way to be healthy. For me, I was trying everything, and a lot of it is just like, I'm going to be 47 soon. And it's like life since the pandemic for everyone kept on piling on. And it's like shit got real, and it's like you don't know how to deal with it. And it just kept on piling on. And instead of just either self-medicating or just burying it like the way that my dad certainly did, not dealing with it, I had to figure out, because I started to see the patterns that I noticed in myself being passed on to my own kids. And so when you see them in your own kids, you're like, fuck, I got to change this.
Yeah. Trying to think. I have twins. They're 19. They're just so different.
Yeah.
And it's weird how different they are, and they're just always that way.
Yeah, but it was also like how I dealt with my kid, right? So it's not just like the way I love my kids, but I found myself dealing with them, whether it's through frustration or not. I have a 11-year-old girl that's pre-puberty, and I don't know how to deal with that shit. It was confusing. It is confusing. And I just felt not equipped to figure it out. And the way that I was parenting was just all of these, just instinctual things that were not helping. And I had to like break the pattern.
Did you, there is something interesting now, which is parents seem to be very interested in being good parents, whereas when I was a kid, they didn't sweat the details about, it was like,
Yeah, for sure. I think the weird thing now is the awareness. Now, like for me, I'm a disciplinarian. Like I believe in discipline, and my wife is certainly more of a pushover and very sweet. And it's this mix. And when I'm so aware of the discipline of like, whether it's an Instagram thing of how to discipline your kids or what discipline does and blah, blah, blah. It's like this loop of right and wrong where I'm like, it feels like sometimes you got to be really strict with your kids And then it's, oh, what does that do to them? What does that do? You know, it's the double think, that anxiety that I think now is really baked into the cake, which is ridiculous. But
well, your wife sounds pretty disciplined herself.
She is disciplined, yeah,
and that's
naturally.
Good. Yeah, no, that's
sure.
It's good, because what I've found is you'll get into trouble if you're talking about the kids, but your wife really is hearing it about her. Like,
yeah, I got super lucky. I mean, my wife's amazing. And it's like, she also is she's just an incredibly healthy human being. And, you know, I am maybe, I wasn't that healthy, especially before I met her. So I think it's like she's also a constant reminder of what's possible when it comes to health, in a way of like, you know, she's a happy person, you know, naturally.
Yeah. Oh, you can't. Listen, you can't beat happy naturally. I mean,
it's wild. It's something that's wild. Like foreign to me. You know, it's like, wow, this is real shit. Okay.
Well, I mean, people are like dogs. I mean, I've had a lab that's just fucking happy all the time, and there's other dogs
she's
that
not
aren't.
happy all the time, but I think a lot of that kind of healthy comes from that discipline. I mean, the natural discipline she has.
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%. And it's something we are losing, because it's hard to impose discipline on kids these days, because people think it's borderline abuse or something, whatever it is our football coaches made us do, or gym coaches or dads or whatever would have been pretty much considered abuse by today's standards.
Yeah. But go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, did you grow up thinking about show business, acting, creating, comedy, writing? Like, was that something that hit early?
Not too. I mean, I played sports. I was actually just going to bring up with the discipline thing. I was an assistant coach for my girls' softball team, and the coach, who's this really sweet guy, is like very sweet. Doesn't want to do any discipline. Blah blah blah. And I was like, listen, I'm going to watch 10-year-olds play softball. We got to try to whip them into shape. So I go in there, and I'm making these kids do push-ups, drills, really, making sure that they understand that this is a team sport and we've got to be disciplined. And it's amazing, you see these kids just with the smallest bit of discipline immediately change, and their parents too, who are probably more of the ilk of like a little softer. They're like, oh wow, that really helped.
Yeah.
So I really believe in that stuff. But when it comes, with acting, like I became interested when I was a teenager. When I was like 13, 14, I started, when I realized that I wasn't going to make any of the teams, I was like, what else can I do? And there was a bunch of girls in the drama club, and I kind of started to go that way.
And was the family encouraging, or were they just sort of laissez-faire about it, or did they think it was something you'd sort of get out of your system? Did anyone have any designs on you being an architect or, an attorney or something like that? I
mean, it was certainly foreign to them. I mean, no one in my family is from the entertainment industry. We were living in, outside of Detroit. I come from a kind of a Reformed Jewish family where, of course, my mother wants me to, be a doctor or have like a regular job. And but my mom also, she's a creative person, and she always wanted to be a piano player, and kind of felt like she was stifled maybe by her own father to follow her own dreams. So I definitely, they were encouraging in that way, and they saw how much I loved it. I think that the big roadblock was when I was like, I want to go do this. I want to go to college for this. And that's when someone like my dad was just like, no. We're not going to school for acting. You can go do something else. And that was definitely a fork in the road. But it took some convincing, and my mom ended up helping with that convincing.
How did your parents react? So I've interviewed everybody, and there's quite a chasm between parents' reactions to their kids' success. There's, Norman Lear basically said his mom wouldn't recognize any success he had till the end. Like, just never gave it up. There's dads who never give it up. You know, my family was sort of that way in a lazy way. They just didn't really know what I did. And then there are other parents that are like, oh, they took the poster from the first movie and they put it in the entry hall of their house, you know, and blah, blah, blah. There's extreme swings. There's from like almost doesn't exist to way over the top, sunshine, blown up ass, you know, wearing it, you know, like a mom of a NFL player who's wearing the jersey of in the stands with the button of a picture of him on stuff. Like there's extreme. So where did your parents land?
My parents definitely have some posters up in their garage. They're on that side of the spectrum for sure.
That's good.
I mean, absolutely. They're super proud. And it's like, it just like me, it's kind of, even though I had my sights set on it, you know, fairly early on, the fact, you know, for my dad, when I started making money from it, it was just like, wait, this is real. Mm-hmm. And then when, you know, I found success pretty early in my career, success, you know, as in finding jobs and stuff, they couldn't believe it. So it was almost like all of a sudden it was entering into a whole new world for them. So they loved it. And one, you know, and I also, you know, early on, like, through college and after college, I was always when I was younger, I was such a hustler. I mean, I was working every little job on a movie set. I was just, you know, always working, waiting tables, getting any job possible to pay the bills. I wasn't asking them for money and stuff like that. So they let me be when it came to that. I had pride in that kind of sense early on. And then when I found, you know, success doing it, they were really excited.
I'm looking here that you were a production assistant on Analyze This, and you worked on movies. Like, did you learn a lot just sort of standing in the wings, the shadows on the other side of the camera?
Yeah. I mean, I was like an assistant at Tribeca Productions, at De Niro's production company early on. And that's how I kind of got on to Analyze This. And then I went to New York University, and all of the kind of young kids, you know, they would like, oh, there's a PA job here, a PA job there. And we would get each other jobs on random, you know, like I was PA'd on a dozen random movies. Montel Williams' directorial debut, I locked down a garage in a mall upstate, you know, for $50 a day, you know, with some random movie starring his wife who was a stripper at the time. It's like random shit. Just anything. I was an editing PA. I was a costume PA. I was anything, because I had never been on a movie set, never been in the business. So I soaked it all up, and I met a ton of people from all different sides. And I also wanted to make movies, so I just didn't know about the departments. And it was like an education at just actually doing it and getting my hands dirty. And understanding the different personalities and of the departments of making a movie. Making a movie, I think, is like, it's, as I said before, it's nearly impossible that it's done. And it's like this little ecosystem with kind of every job you can imagine in the world, all on this set. Talk about building a house. There's carpenters, there's everything to build this world within a world. And to me, that was like the most fascinating thing.
Well, it is like a job site in that you have framers, then you have drywall guys, you have stucco guys, you have roofers, you have HVAC guys, electricians, plumbers, finish guys, tile guys, carpet guys, cabinet guys.
People finding fabric, making clothes,
right?
Hanging lights. You know, it's everything. Sourcing everything.
Catering, but
production designer. Yeah,
it is like a construction site in that when you have a big budget, you get lots of subs. You just go drywall guy, foundation guy, HVAC guy, whatever. When the budget is small, the guy framing is also hanging the drywall and doing HVAC work as well. And there isn't the, costume, catering, grip, all that stuff. It can be, you wear a lot of different hats because you don't have the budget to build.
Absolutely. But sometimes, it's like, it's amazing to me. I've done the big movies that we talked about, and and the Nuked is a tiny movie, a couple $1 million. I've done movies for a few $100,000. I've done all the spectrum of every budget, student films, and it's amazing to me how it really is pretty much the same across the board. Yes, you do get some doubling up on positions, certainly, but you still get a lot of artisans that are passionate about what they do, hopefully, that just want to like make something, palpable and real. It really is not that different on the different budget levels. It's just time. You just have more time on those big budgets.
That's what I say every time. Everyone thinks it's about special effects or graphics or something. I go, it's time. When you got to shoot a movie in 17 days or something, that's versus you have money, you get 3 months.
Absolutely.
You're buying time. Yes.
And sometimes it works against it. Sometimes it works for it. I've seen also both. I've been a part of huge budget movies that had nothing but time, and they turned out to be some of the worst movies ever made. And then I've been, a part of little tiny budget movies that you just had to go. And they were some of the favorite things that I've ever done. It really is. You never know how it's going to turn out. The time is a luxury, though. Absolutely. Especially for an actor.
Oh, yeah. Do you think, and I don't know where you're shooting mainly. I know in L.A., we just talked about getting a budget back and bringing franchises and shooting and, production back to Los Angeles, sort of, come back to Hollywood. In other words, don't go to Atlanta or Prague or wherever. Where's the lion's share of your stuff being done or have been done?
I live in New York, and New York has good tax incentives, and I shoot a lot in New York. It depends. I was supposed to go do a movie a month ago that got pushed in Saudi Arabia. I might go do something in Budapest. It's a lot of it is, I hope that California, I think it certainly will stoke some more work, but so much of this is about unions. A lot of these, companies want to shoot outside of the United States because of union, and it comes down to money. So that's tough when it comes to tax incentives can only push you so far in the States, but I don't know. We'll see.
Have you shot anything in LA in recent years or times?
Not in a few years ago. I shot a movie called Sweet Girl. Like a Netflix movie with Jason Momoa in LA. But that was the last thing I shot there.
How much writing are you doing?
I try to, it's tough. I try to focus up, and I'm writing something right now. Writing is so hard, man, to keep disciplined. I also, I started this business with my wife during the pandemic that blew up, this kind of fitness app that I do a lot of writing for too, when it comes to like building, and it's like building a business has been really satisfying with her. So it's like, building the website and making products and, merch and trying to grow that business has been super satisfying. So I've been focusing a lot on that in the last few years, and now I'm kind of getting back into the writing and trying to focus on my own stuff.
I would say with writing, because I've done a fair amount of it, you have to fool yourself into being productive, and you have to kind of understand your foibles and weaknesses and like shortcomings, like I was approached to write a book and I was like, I can't type, I can't spell. So I immediately went to a guy who I knew was smart, and I said, look, we're going to just write this book together. You're going to type everything. I'm just going to dictate everything, and I'll give you some money. And he was like, okay. And I wrote in 6 books with that guy, but it's just because I knew I'm not going to sit down at the keyboard every day and bang shit out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find this guy. I'm going to get on the speakerphone with him, and I'm going to be stuck in traffic for 2 hours, and I'm going to be dictating like the whole time. And because of that, a guy who's like functionally illiterate, who barely graduated high school, is able to be on the New York Times bestseller list. But it's only because I knew who I was. Like, I was like not going to do that. And the few features that I've written, I immediately had the same things. Like, I have an idea. I have an idea for a movie. There's no goddamn way I'm going to sit down and bang it out. I'll find a guy. He'll be a smart guy. He'll know sports. And I'll go sit with him and I'll go, we're going to write this movie and you're going to be writing. And I'm going to be like pacing around behind you while you're banging stuff out. And I'm going to be in my car and you're going to be on the speakerphone. Because that's the only way we're going to get this done. But if you kind of know yourself, like if you go, look, I'm just going to go in my room and I'm going to light a candle and I'm going to lock the door. Nothing. I wouldn't have anything. So
yeah, for sure.
Sort of know, if you know yourself, you can be productive writing. And maybe you are that person who just goes,
I'm not that person. And I've realized that over the last few years. I mean, I also finding the right guy. I mean, a few years ago, I sold something and wrote like an adult animated comedy, and I found another guy to write with, and he was, we didn't work well together, so it was kind of like bouncing off someone that it was the wrong guy, and made it even more painful. Right now, I'm starting something with another guy that I know, and I think that might work out. So I completely agree. I mean, for me, it's a lot of my own shortcomings is my own brain of just the excuses of this is shit, like every writer, this is shit. Why don't I stop? What's the point of this? Like, no one wants to see this. Instead of, I have a great idea. I like this idea. I want to see where it goes. So for me, it's needing a bit of a cheerleader and someone that can help me not quit.
Yeah. The best way to write a book is have someone approach you and pay you to write a book, great. And then you will write this book that you would have never, ever written. And it's perfect. They like trick you into writing a book. They go, all right, now we're going to give you $500K. And you go, all right. And they go, not all at once. Not all at once. And you go, how's this work?
And breadcrumbs.
We'll give you 80 right now. And then you're going to send in the first, 3 chapters, and then you can do another 80. But it's only if we like the first 80. And then we get it, before we go to print, we need a manuscript. And it's like, and then when it comes out, we'll give you another draw. And then when it goes to paperback, that's when you get, and it's like, you get this trail of breadcrumbs that forces you to become a novelist when you're really just sort of a lazy creative type. And
that's the way to do it. You got to trick yourself.
Right. And the problem is most people don't get approached by people who tell them to do it, but you have to, in a weird way, do it to yourself.
Adam, are you offering me $500,000 right now?
Not all at once.
Okay. How much are we talking up front?
We're going to break it off into 5 chunks.
Yeah. The first chunk is $20.
$20, and I'll need a full manuscript by then once I proofread it. Yeah, that's how it works, and then you just trick yourself into it. And I do think when it comes to the writing partners, I mean, speaking from personal experience, I don't think you can't go, I need a writing partner. You have to kind of look at people that are in your world and go, that guy doesn't know it yet, and he may not even think he's my writing partner, but that guy would be perfect for this.
That's what I just did. They'll see if it works out.
I pray it does. All right, Justin, let me give you a plug one more time. Nuked is the name of the film. All the other stuff, we'll see. I'll keep my fingers crossed for National Treasure 3. And anytime I'll give Chuck a raise. Anytime you're in L.A., come by and say hi in person.
I would love that. Thank you so much for having me, man. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Justin. Appreciate it. All right, Justin Bartha, everybody. I'm doing live stand-up everywhere, so you can go to adamcarolla.com. I'll be at Road America. I'll be in Zanies, Rosemont, Illinois. Man, I'm never there, so come on out and say hi. And until next time, it's Adam Carolla for Justin Bartha and Mayhem Miller saying mahalo.
Pick up your phone, leave us a voicemail. The number's 888-634-1744. Just a couple of tickets left to the Irvine Improv Thursday night. Get them now at adamcarolla.com.